Hey there, welcome to Abundant Source. I had an urge to make this video, just so that way I could express a few things that were on my mind and to have, I guess, to share a little bit of transparency, and really just because it's something that I feel like doing. Right now it's about 9:30 at night and I've got some iceberg lettuce, which I've eaten most of, and I made a little seed dip out of sunflower seeds, flax seeds, can't remember the other seed that I put in there, sesame, that's what I put in, and it's also got just some seasonings. I really went kind of crazy with this one, which I don't normally do, and that's kind of, I think, one of the big inspirations for me making this video is that this is more complicated and has ingredients that I normally wouldn't eat, but tonight I was just really craving it and allowed myself to have it. So other than the seeds, it's got salt, Himalayan salt, pepper, cumin and coriander, nutritional yeast, which is something I usually don't eat, and also I added a little bit of organic soy sauce, cooked, and that's probably my biggest sort of cheat food, which I don't have very often, but sometimes if I'm really craving salt or just something complicated, then I'll pour a little dab of soy sauce onto a salad or whatever I'm eating. And I had ideas about talking about cravings and how I sort of deal with cravings. Don't really think that dealing with them is the word that I want to use, but how I sort of flow with cravings. And I've been asked to do a video on cravings a few times, and I just haven't been inspired to make a video about cravings because I still have cravings that I give into, and it makes me feel like I'm almost not worthy of making a video about how to deal with cravings when I still am not 100% over my addictions. But with that being said, I did have a sort of excitement and an urge to share a video about it right now, and I do feel that I have a bit to offer on the subject. And the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of cravings is emotion and habitually ingrained habit patterns that we were introduced to when we were very young, and has just been something that has been consistent throughout our lives, and it makes it very hard to break. And we typically put a lot of emotional attachment and association onto food, for comfort and for sedation from other emotions. I feel like my own personal relationship with addiction and cravings has shifted a lot. They still spontaneously pop up for me, and they definitely show up more when I have done things that sort of go against what I believe to be natural laws of nature, such as staying up late, and especially eating late like I'm doing right now, eating when the sun's down. If I don't feel like I got enough sleep, then I'm almost always going to have more intense cravings and emotional reaction. I believe that it's a very, very rare case that when you're having cravings that the body actually needs something physical from the foods that it's craving. most or a lot of people associate cravings with deficiency and not having enough of something in your body, which can be possible, I'm sure. But I think that that's the rare case, and that most cravings have to do with your emotions, and also showing you the resistances that you still have towards things. So if you have cravings and you're giving into foods that you know aren't the best for you physically, and you're trying to learn how to stop your cravings, then it probably means you have a resistance or a sense of shame around giving into your cravings. And I find that that's a big reason why the cravings are happening, so that way you can realize your shame around it and start to work with that. And whatever else is surrounding that, maybe it's feeling unworthy to have a healthy body, or any emotion that you have suppressed within you that wants to be seen and to be acknowledged and to be felt. We have all these subconscious emotions that were suppressed so long ago that want our attention, and they're going to come up and present themselves to us in any opportunity that they get until we feel them and allow them to be here. And so typically, until you can allow that shame to be there without judging it and without feeling bad about it, then most likely you're going to continue to get cravings and probably give in to them, and probably continue to feel shame and then resist that shame, and then feel more shame because you're feeling shame, and it's just like this vicious cycle. But when you learn to eat anything you want, I'm not trying to say that it would be healthy for you to give in to your cravings, just that it's probably not healthy for you to resist what comes up when you're feeling and giving into the cravings. I'm really discovering that I pretty much seem to have just about no control over myself whenever I'm craving, and whenever I'm intensely craving something, I just pretty much very rarely will have enough willpower to just stop myself. And there, I would say, are very few people in the world who have that type of willpower to be able to just not give in, and that it's so rare, and that is a minority that is very rare. And I don't think we should be holding our standards or comparing ourselves to people who have developed that kind of willpower. I would say if you do have that type of raw willpower where you can just pretty much, tough it out through situations like this when you're craving, then I would say do that, because although I don't know if that's necessarily dealing with the root issue that I believe is an emotional issue, if you can get yourself to just eat super clean through willpower alone, then after a while the emotions inside you are going to come up easier, and they're going to be easier to deal with because you're only eating that raw food, and you're pretty much automatically going to be able to feel your feelings and have everything come to the surface with a greater awareness. And so a big emotion I wanted to talk about and have been talking about is shame. Because most of us who are striving to be raw vegan or even more, maybe a little, or maybe even going a little deeper than that with our diets, feel so much shame whenever we give in to cravings, and like if we're not living the way that we want, we're setting ourselves to certain standards, and when we slip up, then there's a sense of massive shame, and then typically a resistance to it, because we feel uncomfortable with the idea of allowing shame to be here and feeling it completely. And so my greatest suggestion right now is to really learn to just allow the shame and to sit with the shame and to really just embody the shame and try not to judge yourself for feeling it. Just feel it. It's okay to feel it. And I would say the real reason that you're suffering is that you're not allowing yourself to feel it. And so because you're not allowing yourself to feel these emotions, you have resistance and you have fear inside you surrounding these emotions. And it's like you're trying to just constantly run away and turn the other way from these emotions. And you want to resist anything that causes this emotion to come up. But imagine what it would be like if it was okay to feel shame, and like shame was actually maybe a good thing. Not necessarily a good thing, but just as acceptable to feel as happiness or excitement. If you allowed yourself to feel shame and said it's okay to feel shame, then what would be wrong with shame at that point? And I think a big thing with this is that we just see certain people who have maybe reached a high state of consciousness or are really good actors about it, and we see this sort of like perfect life with what we perceive as pretty much no suffering and total emotional balance, and we think that that's what we need to strive to be, and there's nothing wrong with striving to be like that. But we kind of pretend like our emotions are meaningless and like we don't want to feel them, because then we would be less pure and we would be less connected. But the most connected state you can be in is feeling what's alive and what's real right now and embodying that experience fully. And I've found that giving into my cravings has actually been some of the most healing work for me, as far as feeling emotions that I really didn't want to feel, because the emotions would start to come up. And then I have a particular experience where I discovered that there is some anger in me. And when I discovered this, it was like really just like, dang it. I thought that I had pretty much no anger left in me. I feel like such a not angry person, and like anger I just want to see myself as this gentle person, and like anger is just this thing that makes me go, no, I don't want to be angry. And so I was resisting that, and I don't know what I ate, probably just a lot of fat. Typically when I give into cravings, it's usually just avocado and salt, and so I probably just ate a bunch of avocado and salt, but then I just ate so much of it trying to numb myself out that it was pretty unbearable at a certain point, and it was like I just had to feel my emotions. The food made me feel so bad that I couldn't do anything but sit there with it and feel it out. And I just remember accepting the anger fully that was in me and just started yelling and screaming, and just letting it all flow out, which I never allowed before, because I can't even think of I just never yell, and it feels like this thing that's just almost foreign. Like, I don't know how to do that. And so it was just really nice to allow myself to yell and just sort of go crazy and feel this anger and accept it and be totally okay with it. And now I feel like I love my anger, and like my anger is so accepted, and anger in everyone to me feels so acceptable. And like, if you have anger, then I really want to see it come to the surface and have it not be resisted. And that's what I want within myself also. There are two things that I've noticed that trigger some anger in me. The first thing is circumcision. And circumcision is the only thing that I know of that can consistently trigger me emotionally when I get into thinking about circumcision and talking about it. The thought of circumcision can sometimes trigger a little bit of anger in me. And then I also noticed the other day I was at a circling session, which is something that I do every week, which is kind of just like a sort of relational meditation where we just really get in tune with our bodies and really be as connected as we can with ourselves while being connected with other people and sharing what's really alive in the moment and what's coming up for us right in the moment. And so I noticed when somebody was talking about school and their experiences, everyone was kind of sharing their experiences through like middle school and high school, and I noticed it triggered like a physical like resistance to that. And I think I feel, it's very subtle, but I feel like there's some subtle anger in me revolving around our schooling system. And I think just anything that sort of forces something upon young children who have no say and can't really make decisions for themselves and don't have the ability to make choices, things like circumcision and vaccines and schooling at young ages, that will sometimes trigger sadness and a little bit of anger. And now my biggest practice is just feeling it and loving it and being so okay with it. And it's like now I just get excited when I feel anger or any other emotion that people label as negative. But that's just the belief that has been put into our minds, is that it's some sort of bad emotion that shouldn't be felt or isn't serving us, which it's my belief that everything is serving us and that these emotions are not bad, they're just things that we're resisting that really want to not be resisted anymore. They're part of us. They are part of the all. They're, a part of God. They're a part of who you are. And they want to be integrated with you, and they want to be one just as much as you do. And resisting them is causing a lot of imbalance in us. It's just energy that wants to flow, and we're basically not allowing it to flow we're trapping it in our body, creating physical distortions in the body, and then creating a lot of mental activity and reactivity in our heads. And so I can't tell you how to completely get over cravings because I'm not over them. And it's not like I don't feel discomfort when I give into cravings. I just ate a bunch of fatty seeds and salt and other ingredients, and it's late, and tomorrow I'm gonna feel it in my body when I wake up, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to be okay with that. I don't know how to stop giving in to foods that make me feel uncomfortable, and that's what I have realized and come to accept. And so when I give into foods, it's just something that's happening, and it's something that I'm not going to resist, because if I resist it, I won't be enjoying the moment. And I believe that I'm not going to just give in to a bunch of stuff. I've had one cooked meal in the last year and a half, and just like a handful of times where I just maybe like had something cooked, like some steamed broccoli or something, and just like ate a couple pieces in the last year and a half. And I'd say about half of my days are really clean, all fruit, and then about half of my days at the current moment of life that I'm in are giving into like salt and fat, like avocado and salt. And I would love to be at the point where I'm not consuming these things that make me feel uncomfortable. But right now I'm not at that point, and I do consume them, and I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do, and usually I can't stop myself from doing that. But I have faith that it is showing me the greatest thing that it could possibly bring to my attention when it happens. And it gives me a great opportunity to feel and notice and realize things that if I hadn't consumed this and felt uncomfortable, then it may not have been so easily brought to my attention, and I might not work on it. And to me, that's very important, because I feel like those are the underlying issues, these subconscious emotions and beliefs that are in us, that we took on a long time ago. And now the work is to allow them to be here, because we were taught that they weren't okay before. But I'm telling you that they're okay. And however you feel is okay. And feeling that is definitely easier said than done. And I'm sorry if it maybe hurts to hear that everything you're feeling is okay, but you still can't seem to feel that. And I know how that feels. But you're watching this video, and you're conscious, and you want to be your best, and you will be. I would say don't give up, but I don't think you could give up even if you wanted to. And I have faith in you, and in myself, and I'm gonna continue to do what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna continue to love it and accept it to the best of my ability. And when I can't accept it, that's okay too, because I'll get to a point where I can. And before I end the video, just a few physical things that you can do that I have noticed that have helped me with cravings. The first thing is enemas. We do have a lot of, bacteria within us that are feeding off of unnatural, things that are not, biologically meant to be within us. And so now we have bacteria within us that aren't necessarily designed to be within us, that feed off of basically the garbage that is not supposed to be in us. And so because they've created a home within us, they want more of what they eat, and they will send signals to our brain to get us to crave what they want to eat, which is the garbage that we put in that attracted them there in the first place. And so enemas, I've found, really feel like they just clean out the colon, which drops so much pressure from our system, gives us a clear head, releases a lot of old garbage, and I find that my cravings aren't as strong after doing enemas. The second thing is going to bed with the sun. When it starts to get dark, it's when you should be going to bed. And the longer you stay up after it gets dark and the sun goes down, then the more you're going to start to crave things. Especially if you are in an area where there's a lot of unnatural light, like just lights in the house or anywhere. Looking at a cell phone, it's going to stimulate your brain to think that it's daylight out and that you need food. So going to bed very early has been one of the best things for me to help with cravings. And also something that I used to finally get myself to go fully raw after so long of trying was writing down the days that I ate raw food, the days that I ate only fruit, and also like I had a calendar, and each day I would mark it with a different color. And so one color meant I ate only raw, one color meant I ate only fruit, one color meant I ate some cooked food, and one color meant that I totally binged on cooked food. And I told myself at the end of the month, after marking every day, I'm going to show this on YouTube and on social media, and all the different raw communities. I'm going to post it in different raw Facebook groups and on my own personal Facebook page, and I'm going to show it on YouTube. And that really motivated me to not eat cooked food, because I was like, oh gosh, if I eat this cooked food, I'm going to have to write that on the calendar, and everyone's going to see that I ate cooked food that day. So that's something that really helped me with, and I think it's something that you can challenge yourself with, is either keep a food journal and write down everything you eat for like the next couple weeks or the next month or something, or just use a calendar and mark whether you ate cooked or raw that day, and then at the end of the couple weeks or the month, share it on social media in different raw groups for all the raw community to see. And I'm sure that will, it gave me a lot of motivation to not eat it, so I'm hoping it'll do the same for you. So I think I'll end it here. It feels like kind of a long video with a lot of content that doesn't support the average human's attention span. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you got something out of this, And if you didn't, then I know I did, and so it was worth it anyways. And I'll talk with you in the next video. Thank you so much.